So a lot of times I'll get students asking me, how can you possibly win an argument? An argument is just a matter of opinion. This comes up especially when we talk about value claims, because value claims, which deal with questions of good and bad, right and wrong, are often matters of opinion, and so it could seem difficult to prove your point. But the aim of an argument, at least in this class, isn't to prove anything. It's to support your point of view. It's to win people over to your side. And that actually is very possible to do. So, how can you win an argument about a value? About a question of what's right or wrong, good or bad? Well, the way that you do that is by remembering two things. The first thing that you have to remember is that you assume your audience is comprised of reasonable people. It's really impossible to have a productive argument with someone who's unreasonable. And in the academic world, we assume that our audience is comprised of rational people. So that's the first thing. Now, if your audience is comprised of rational people, you can persuade them to take your point of view on an issue of value. And the way that you do that is appeal to what I call shared values. Now, what's a shared value? Well, that depends on your issue. So I happen to favor more strict gun control laws. My father happens to favor less strict gun control laws. He has something like 15 guns at his house. Kind of scares me. I don't own any guns. But the reason why my dad owns lots of guns and I own no guns, the reason why there are many guns at his house and none at mine, is because we share a similar value, the same value in fact. We're both concerned about safety. My dad's a reasonable person. Well, never mind. Yes, he's a reasonable person. I'm a reasonable person. So in theory, if my dad could show me through statistics that I found credible, through compelling facts, that in fact having a gun at home would make me more safe, that less strict gun control laws would make me safer, then as a reasonable person, I am going to start paying attention to that argument and maybe change the way I behave. On the other hand, if I can show my dad convincing evidence, and it's got to be evidence that he finds convincing and credible, that having guns make him less safe, or let's say that less strict gun control laws make him less safe, then I'm going to be convincing to him. So that's one example. Now, sometimes problems arise because although people might share values, other values are perhaps more important. Let me give you another example. So let's take the whole marijuana debate. If I want to argue that marijuana is harmful to society, and I know that other people, well, let me take this the other way around. I want to argue that marijuana is beneficial to society, okay? And one of my reasons is that marijuana could become an industry, a legitimate industry, and generate revenue in the form of taxes. And that's why I think marijuana is beneficial to society. And I'm appealing to a value that I assume everyone in my audience shares, which is, you know, a productive, vibrant economy, money for the states or the government that could go into schools and that kind of thing. And I say, well, that's a value everyone's bound to share. Yes, that's true. But if I'm opposed to marijuana, if I think marijuana is harmful, the fact that it makes some money, yeah, I might think, you know, a healthy, vibrant economy, money in the state is a good thing, but there are probably other values that I think are much more important. Safety, child welfare, lots of other values that I need to think about. So when you're appealing to shared values, make sure that they're not only values that people share, but they're values that people find equally important. So as you're working on your value claim paper this week, you're revising, you're adjusting, you're reviewing papers, I want you to think about values that people on all sides of your argument share. And I want you to think about ways that you can use those shared values to effectively make your case to those who disagree with you. Hopefully this is helpful and it makes sense, but if it doesn't, feel free to email me, call me, Skype with me, and ask for clarification. Be sure to read the responses that I've posted to the discussion board that you did before spring break. Thanks very much, everybody. I hope you have a great week.